So how healthy is your secondary going into this game?
I think we're pretty close, as healthy as we've been since spring ball. Brandon's working his way back in. He's getting close. Bonner's getting his ankle back healthy. So we're getting close. We're getting close to everybody being about as healthy as you're going to be as a long season in the training camp. All those things, you're never really fully healthy, but we're close.
On the depth chart this week, it had Chuck, Brandon, co-number ones. Is that Brandon if he's healthy and ready to go?
Yeah, that's the deal. I told
if
Brandon's healthy, he's going to be the starter. If he's not all the way back just yet, Chuck will be the starter. He's had a great fall camp. So, you know, Brandon gets his treatment, get himself right. He's the guy, you know, right now. You know, we'll kind of see how that goes during this week.
Chuck's your nickel guy this year, right?
Correct.
How important is he to this defense? You know, we don't talk about him much, but how big a role will he play now with Kendall and Brandon kind of locked in those outside spots?
Chuck's going to play a huge role. Chuck's, hell, if Brandon or Kendall's down, Chuck's your next corner in the game right now. And Chuck's a very high IQ player. He's you know, he's similar to Kendall in the same regards of can play multiple positions. He plays corner and nickel just like Kendall, so he gives you a lot of flexibility. You know, we had a lot of safeties out one scrimmage. We put him at free safety without, you know, just met with him about an hour before that scrimmage, and he gives you that type of flexibility. And those are the type of guys that I love, and, you know, I love Chuck Clark. You know, I love what he does.
Is he still gunner on the punt coverage too?
Yes.
He is.
Has he been doing a little more of that nickel with Ronnie banged up? Have you guys been using that more
Well,
in practice?
regardless of whether one of the whips are healthy, as long as there's 3 receivers in the game, you know, we're going to play a good portion of nickel. So he's been doing that anyway.
How comfortable are you with putting C.J. Revis on the field in the big spot right now?
In a big spot right now, I'll be somewhat nervous, but talk to me 2-3 weeks down the road as he's going through the routine of the game weeks and those things like that. He's a very confident player. He's going to be a very good player. He's just young right now, inexperienced.
You anticipate playing Stroman? I saw him on the depth chart for special teams, so it looks like he's...
Well, I mean, that'll be something we'll decide this week whether it's going to warrant enough plays to play him or not right now. So we're still going to talk as a coaching staff about which direction we go with that.
What are reasonable expectations for your group this year? I mean, how good can they be?
I tell you, if we're healthy, people have high expectations of it. And I told our guys, don't be afraid of those expectations. We want to exceed those expectations. I feel if we're healthy and we're focused, I think we can be tremendously good.
What was Des Fry's deal? We saw him in the blue.
Yeah, Des has been injured, and he's in blue right now, but I think he's going to work through it, and he's going to be cleared to go here. So it'll be great to have Des back, and you know, as we continue to get healthier, that gives us more depth, more guys to work with.
What's his injury?
He had a shoulder issue or something with his shoulder there.
You've had a interesting, I guess, maybe perspective on Isaiah Ford. You know, he's been going up against your guys. How good is he? We haven't really seen much of him. How would you rate him as a wide receiver?
I think the kid's he's got kind of a it about him. He's got an it factor with him. He loves to compete. He's got a quiet confidence about himself, and he just goes out and he makes plays regardless of who's going against him. So I've been very impressed with him.
Maybe a little bit of a change as to whether or not you anticipate him back there running the football. Is that right? Or?
Yeah. With Trayvon right now, I'd say if we can, we'd like to be able to redshirt him. There's no question he could help us right now. Things are moving a little fast for him right now. I've got no problem putting him in the game, but you know, certain things that he does very well, like we talked about, that other guys do well also. And there's only so many touches to go around, so I think he'd like to play. And he very well may end up playing this year. Going into this game, if we can, though, we'd like to hold him and try and redshirt him if we can.
How did Trey look today?
I thought he looked pretty good. You know, we practiced, scrimmage Friday, is that right? Scrimmage Friday, gave them Saturday and Sunday. Was just a walkthrough, so we didn't practice. Monday is our day off, so we met all day, and we didn't see them at all yesterday. So they've really had Saturday, Sunday, 3 days off straight, and I think that did wonders for a lot of their legs. I thought he looked good though. He looked quick and looked fast, and you know, he's a motivated guy to get back to where he was, and I've got no question that he will.
Now, with his status being kind of iffy, how are those two freshmen? Are they the two freshmen? Are they ready?
Shy and Marshawn?
Yeah, are they ready?
They better be because they're playing. So, yeah, I think Marshawn Marshawn, I think they're both ready. Marshawn maybe a little bit more than Shy, just because he was here and he went through 15 spring practices. So he's been out there and had more live action than Shy. But then when you think about it, Marshawn missed most of preseason, so Shy kind of made that up. But Marshawn's a very smart kid. He's very good at what he does. Very poised, so they'll both play Saturday. They'll both, carry the football, and then we'll, kind of see where we are from there.
I'm sure the play call is going to dictate this, but do you have an idea at least of how you want to split those carries between JC and Marshawn and Shy? Or?
Yeah, a little bit in my head, but nothing that we've, solidified at this point. We're still, working, finalizing game plan and things like that. We'll get into third down tonight as a staff, and red zone tomorrow and tomorrow night late. And as we put together packages, we'll kind of figure out, okay, when we get to Thursday, here's where we want to be, here's how we want to, split these carries up. JC will start, and then we'll go from there. I think about a lot of that depends on how the game's going, who may get hot, things like that. So we'll see.
What was it about Marshawn's scrimmage, or was it, or is this the fact that he's sort of immediately going to have a role more just because of what he did in the spring?
I think he went through 15 spring practices, so we had a good idea of what he's about in those 15 spring practices. I think it said a lot about him, the way that I'll be honest with you, when I knew he was going to be out for a few weeks, I would have probably disservice saying this about the kid. I would have bet anything he would have come back about 240 from not, and we had a bet, friendly wager, but on the board about that I just put his weight up there, what's your weight going to be when you get back? And he worked his tail off while he rehabbed, and I thought that showed a lot about him as far as his maturity is. And then in the scrimmage on Saturday, just from a pass protection standpoint, some things that happened that you trust him in pass protection, and he looked very natural running the ball. He's got great vision for a big guy and for a young guy. He sees things and made some nice runs that required good vision. Normal like this, being a Georgia guy, but he's got a little bit of, I'm not comparing him to Noshawn Marino, but his energy level, as far as I coached at South Carolina. I remember every time Noshawn got tackled, that sucker popped up and it was a sprint back to the huddle. Marshawn kind of brings that energy to the running back position. Now, part of that is probably he hadn't practiced in 3 weeks, so he had fresh legs and all that as well. But he's got a lot of energy on the field that I think our offensive line feeds off that as well. Really, the whole offense. He's a young guy, but when he's in the huddle, he's trying to be a leader. He's getting on those guys about just give me a little bit of room and I'll make stuff happen, that type of stuff. He's got something to him from that standpoint.
Is your next tackle in the game if you had to play one on Saturday? Is that accurate?
Wade's one of the tackles that we have at our disposal right now, and he's done a really good job.
Who would be the next in if who's your third? Have you answered
Well,
that?
our starting lineup is going to be, that tackle will be Lawrence and Jonathan McLaughlin. After that, we'll see how we play.
How about guard? Because when we talked to you last week, you said you're trying to find that third guard and that third tackle.
Right.
Feel better at guard than you do at tackle then, or?
I feel good about the first five. The second five, we got to improve. We got to be more consistent.
What about Wyatt? You see David up there in the first team right now. Is it a big...
Wyatt's doing a good job. I tell you what, Will Mary's a really good football team. We're looking forward to the challenge.
What do you see across that defensive line? I know they return some pretty tough players.
Wow, they got an All-American at defensive end. The two guys inside have size and are athletic. The other defensive end is a very solid player. Their outside backer 6 is very athletic. 50 is a tremendous Mike backer. Those guys they're a tough front seven, I know that.
With David, is it a trust thing that he knows where he's supposed to be and what he's supposed to be doing?
He's been here 6 years, so we ought to figure it out by now. But David has practiced very well for us, and I'm pleased with his leadership. I think he realizes this is his last go-round. I don't think they'll get a 7th year, and the guy is practicing hard and doing a good job. I'm pleased with it.
What about Augie? Is he at a point now where you don't worry about Augie anymore as far as his responsibility?
I worry about everybody every day and on every play. But Augie has worked very hard, and he's consistent, and he's doing a good job.